Hello guys, I am here with a treasure scramble guide for the early stages of the forest version of the treasure scramble. I'm gonna go through my teams, I'm gonna go through some guides where you can see what the best teams are, and then I'm going to go through where you can find help for your treasure scramble teams with the crowdsourcing Discord server. So, as you can see, I'm a free-to-play player, of course, and I'm currently ranked 2, or 2, top 2%. But I expect to climb here in the leaderboards. As you can see, I'm a bit behind from rank 1, who's also obviously a Giga Whale, but when I'm comparing to like the top 100, it's not far. Like, it's a few matches away. So I'm doing pretty well with my teams. Now my teams, as you can see here, these are my teams. Actually, I just changed this, so ignore that. I'll go through them here with the formation page. So as you can see, these are my teams. Now, your teams will depend on which Awakened Heroes you have built, or if you have any Awakened Heroes built, but I'll get to that. But if we go back to the win rate screen, ignore this because this should be Leonardo da Vinci in this position, and this team would be doing better. But as you can see here, my teams are doing fine, and what you have to remember is these are the win rates of my teams, but going up against other people's teams in my ELO bracket. And most people actually have a more well-built account than I do at this stage of the treasure scramble. So you can really get an edge on other people by having the stronger teams, right? The meta teams, or the best optimal teams and the best optimal pets. So these are my starting teams. As you can see here, the Belinda team is doing really well, and the Soulless team is doing really well. Now, for the pets, just real quick so you guys can see it, I'm using the Winged Lion for the Dimensional team. I'm using the Rock Lizard, even though it's not level 9 for my Belinda team. It should be level 9, but so be it. I'm using the I can't even remember, the Vespero pet, I think it's called, for the Lucretia team, and this is supposed to be Awakened Baden, but I don't have him, so I use Lucretia as a replacement. More on that later. And for my Soulless team, I'm using this, which actually I'm using the blue orb, the yellow, the white Tuffy, but it should actually be this pet. But this pet needs to be level 12 before it's usable in PvP. So this is better for now. But now, like, you've seen my teams, right? So maybe you just wanted to, like, okay, what are some decent teams? You can look at my teams and you can be like, okay, these are some fine teams. But let's look at a guide for this treasure scramble round now. So we go over here. I have two guides. Now, this is a simple guide, right? And as I always say, if you look at this guide, you can already tell this is not an English guide. No, I don't know what languages this is. I'm just assuming Chinese, because usually these guides are Chinese. However, it's very simple. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams, right? So these are the most optimal 7 teams. However, I do believe that this guide is a rotation old, meaning that this is actually maybe not up to date with the current treasure scramble. That would mean it's 2 cycles behind, so like a month behind. So any heroes released within the month would not be in this guide. And as you can tell, there's no Matria in here, I think. Yeah. So this is an older guide, but it should still be able to be useful. So if you want to like pause and screenshot, or just look at my screen for the guide, you can do that. But as you can see here, it's pretty much as I was doing. Like, I'm skipping the Thane team because I don't have Thane, but I do have Belinda, so I'm doing the Belinda team. And then this is the Brutus team, right? But obviously here in the 3 and 2 team stages, people are cramming in Awakened Hero where they can, right? To build the most optimal team. So usually I just skip that and I look here, right? What are the endgame teams? Like, what are the 7 teams? Can I build any of these? And this is a lot more manageable when the Awakened Heroes are more spread out. For example, here's one. Here's no Awakened Heroes in this team, right? So I can build this team. I can build this team. I don't have Thane. Here, this is the team I was talking about. I don't have Awakened Baden, but I'm using Lucretia as a replacement. For this team, this is basically like the foundation for my Soulless team, right? Where I'm just throwing in strong frontline heroes with these in the backline. I don't have Brutus, and I'm missing Audrey for the Rush team, but I'll be able to build some sort of variation later on. But if you wanted to like look at simple team guide, this is kind of it. Now, for a more up-to-date guide and a more well-done guide, I will take a look at this. Now, shout out to Lab Long Lang Neuromancers. I don't know if that's a guild or a person, but they made this guide. And now this guide is incredible. As you can see, it's a Matria guide, so it's more up-to-date than the previous guide, and it's extremely well done. And this is actually primarily where I based my teams upon. So I always just look at the 17 guide page. Well, I don't actually have access to the earlier versions of this guide. I just found this screenshot of the guide with the 7 teams, and well, you know, 7 teams is the maximum. So here I would be able to look at a potential 7 team things, and I could like build the teams that I can build. So it's kind of flowchartish. So for example, you can, if I just zoom out, oh, this is going to be cringe for you guys, I know, because it's on the YouTube screen, but here's the guide in full image. I'll also show where I found the guide, so you can like find the guide yourself. But this is the full image guide, but if I zoom in so it's a little more reader friendly, you can see here at the top, it's flowcharty. No Awakened Belinda, Awakened Belinda. So for me, I had Awakened Belinda, but I did not have Matria, so I went down this path and built those teams. But if you guys don't have Awakened Belinda, you can go down this path, right? What's so good about this team, this guide, is replacements, right? Whereas the other guides were just like, yeah, these are the best teams. It doesn't offer replacements, so you kind of have to guess for yourself. But this guide gives you some replacement for the heroes. So let's just assume you guys don't have Awakened Belinda, right? Let's just do the most like basic guide you can look at. So you see here, right? Okay, well, most people are not gonna have Tarnos, and they're not gonna have Kanisa, and they're not gonna have Matria, but a lot of people will have Thane, they will have Brutus, and they will have a star, right? And as you can see here, okay, well, what if I have both? Well, if your Matria is not E30, Thane is better, or Mishka, right? So, okay, maybe I can build this team because I have Soulless build, right? This is kind of the team that I'm using, where I'm using, instead of Matria, I'm using Vithiel, because my Thane is not built. So I just thought Vithiel would be a good fit, right? But then here you can see the dimensional team. All right, so this team is interesting, right? It uses Geralt. Now I'd imagine that when in my next video, I'll probably find a guide which includes Rem and Emilia, who I think are PvP viable. But if you guys are free-to-play players, you're not going to have a Rem or Emilia for this treasure scramble round. So this is actually just a better guide for you guys, because it doesn't even take them into account, because you can't have them as a free-to-play yet. But as you can see here, dimensional team, right? Oh my god, I can't believe they're using Geralt. Well, Geralt E60, I'm guessing not a lot of people are going to have that. Maybe some people have Mulan at E60, but I don't. So I went with Leonardo da Vinci in position 4, right? And then Yennefer E30, didn't really have that. As you can see, then it's Awakened Thane, and then it's John, right? And for the pets, it goes over the pets, right? And that's also where I talked about when it comes to the healing pet. Where is it? Here, right? This is where I talked about, like here, for this team that I'm using. The healing pet, right, needs to level 12 or you use the white ball. So again, it helps you with the pet. So this team is the speed team, right? And as you can see here, look at the replacement, guys. I don't have Saphriel. Who has Saphriel? I don't know. I mean, no one has this guy or this guy built, but a lot of people have Mulan built. If you don't have Mulan, you definitely have one of these 4 heroes. And the same over here, right? Most people will have any of these replacements, so you would be able to build this team even if you don't have the best in slot heroes for it. As you can see here, it helps you out when you should be replacing. And as you can see, actually here, this is the team that I'm using, right? With the Olna and Awakened Baden, where I used Lucretia as my replacement unit. But I can see here that actually they rank Iorin higher as a replacement unit than Lucretia. So I would actually be able to improve my team just by looking at this. And here you can see the Brutus team, right? If you have Brutus built, you can do some sort of Brutus stall team with Flora, or invade team with Skreg. And here, this looks like an interesting team, but remember, this is the no Awakened Belinda path. So I'd imagine, as you can see here, Awakened Belinda would fit in here, right? But again, this guide is really well done. So most likely you guys would be able to find a team that you can build in here, right? Because right now we're just looking at 1 or 2 teams, so you can definitely find 1 or 2 teams that you can build with all these different variations of the different teams. And once it gets later on, that's when the teams get scuffed. But don't worry when the teams get scuffed. My teams always get scuffed. At 6 teams, I'm kind of hanging in there, but once we hit 7 teams, I mean, I'm out, usually in Treasure Scramble. But I can usually rank pretty high compared to other people with similar accounts just by following guides. Okay, so I've talked a lot about this guide, right? I think this guide is really good. I've mentioned this guide, but maybe you're like, I don't want to watch your videos, guy. I kind of want to be able to research for myself, right? Where do you find these guides? What do I have to do to be able to find this information? And that is where, spoiler alert, as always, the crowdsourcing Discord, the AFK Arena crowdsourcing Discord comes into play. Now, I've had a link to this Discord a few times in my description, but it seems it keeps getting outdated. So for now, if you guys want to find this Discord, you can just Google AFK Arena crowdsource Discord, and it'll get you a link so you can join this Discord. Now, as you can see in this Discord, they have a Treasure Scramble section. Now, Treasure Scramble, you can chat with other people. That means, you know, you have a question. Hey, I don't have Yorin, right, for X team. Can I use X hero, or what would be a good replacement? You know, just ask these guys. They're more than happy to help, right? People helping each other out. And here is where I find the guides, right? So usually right now we're in the forest variation, so you can see these are the teams that people are using, right? Now in here there are a lot of whalier accounts, I will admit, but I also sometimes post my screenshots in here, and I know some people from my guild post their screenshots, and we are definitely not whales, so you would be able to find, you know, cheaper alternatives to these teams by looking through the different screenshots people are sending. Now, so yeah, basically here you can find the different screenshots of different players, which is just, you know, it's good information to have. But more importantly, you can find here, right? This is what I'm talking about. This Pogo guy, shout out to Pogo, he's just the GOAT, right? He always finds the Chinese guides, and this was the one I was talking about earlier, right? Where it's more like, oh, sorry, you can't see here. It's the same one that I used earlier, right? It just tells you more teams, right? And, you know, just helps you along the way. It's so good. So I cannot recommend the AFK Arena crowdsourcing Discord enough. If you want information, if you want to be ahead of the game, if you want to get the maximum rewards out of your account and find information to help you push further in, for example, Treasure Scramble, this is where you look, guys. This Discord is everything for information for AFK Arena. Now, obviously, you have the, you know, the regular Discord, right, where you also have a question segment, but in here, you know, you're kind of grasping at straws if they're even going to answer your question, or if the guy answering your question knows anything. In here, I can guarantee you're going to get the help you need. So that's it for my guide. It was a more lengthier guide, but that's because I wanted to talk you through how you find information on your own, right? So you don't need my guide. You can just go to the Discord server. You can find your own guides, or, you know, you can subscribe here. I'll do these videos every week. I'm also going to do a Cursed Realm guide after this one, and I'm going to do a Nightmare Corridor guide after that one. So those will be coming out before the reset of both those game modes, so you can see what I did with my formations. Maybe you could copy those, and I'll also in those videos go over the guides that I used for my formations, so you can use the guides for yourself. Alright, that is it for me on the Treasure Scramble. I will return here once I have more teams to look at the variations of my teams later, but for now I hope this helped you guys. I was told that I should tell people to subscribe in YouTube videos. I haven't done that, but now I've said it now. I don't know if that helps, but it's out there, right? I can look in my analytics if it actually helps. I personally, whenever people say that, these things, especially at the start of the video, it just cringes me out, right? I haven't even watched the video and you're asking me to subscribe. So I'll just put it here at the end, because I've been rambling for a while. So maybe if you stay here, you like the rambling content, definitely there'll be more rambles for sure. Anyways, guys, take care.